is the introduction to a pledge challenge application that enables users to record information about a pledge challenge. Um, the basic concept is has to do with readathons or athons in general. These are the type of events, they're usually about raising money for some cause. People get people to sponsor some activity by pledging donations for each unit of activity. For example, some amount for each mile biked or walked, or pound lost, or book read, or hour read, etc. The idea is that during pledges, that donation pledges per unit of activity will serve as an incentive to get the participant to maximize the number of units performed. Sometimes the activity is simply a chore or sweat element like miles walked, biked, etc. But sometimes it can have social value in its own right, such as hours read, test scores achieved, trees planted, shelters built, meals delivered, etc. It can even be an incentive for funds raised, resulting in some degree of matching funds. Adding a competitive element like pledging to donate some amount per unit of activity for the participant with the greatest number of units achieved can significantly increase the incentive of participants to deliver even more units, thereby greatly increasing the incentive value of the donation pledge. For example, if you go and say, I will make a donation of $500 in the name of the class that has the greatest average number of hours read during a period. And there's 20 classes that are competing for that. I'm basically incenting 20 classes to read as much as they can. Although at the end of the day, I only really have to pay for the hours of the class that has achieved the greatest number of hours read. Note that this application demo was developed just to be able to demonstrate how the application could function and was never intended to be actually used in a production environment. This application envisions some enhancements over the traditional readathon type of campaign, in that the typical readathon has a single kind of participant, an individual or a team, and a single kind of unit of activity, hours read, miles biked, etc. It's very simple. Sponsors pledge some amount per unit of activity, and that's all there is to it. However, once we introduce a competitive aspect, we now have to define the nature of the competition. In addition, we'd like to offer donation pledgers the option to define competitions at different levels. For example, let's say you have a readathon campaign to both encourage lots of hours read and simultaneously raise funds for some good cause. Different donation pledgers might want to offer a variety of competition types. For example, the winner is the class within a school with the highest average number of hours read per student, or the first class in a school to reach a certain average number of hours read per student, or every class that participates within the school. We call this the pledge type. Actually, we should have probably called it the competition type. The above examples enabled someone to declare a challenge competition for the winning class within a school. However, someone might want the competition to be the best class within a school district, or within a county, or a state, or a country, or even a continent, or even the world. We call the scope of the competition the challenge domain. Someone else might want to make the competition be for the best school, not just the class within a school or within a school district, but the best school within a school district, the best school within a county, or the best school within a state or country or continent or world, or the best school district or state within a county. We call this the competitor level. Some pledger might want to reward more than one winner in a challenge. For example, the first 3 competitors to achieve the target average units per student, or the top N competitors according to the pledge type. For example, the first 3 classes in a school to achieve an average of 20 hours read per student, or the three schools in the school district that have the greatest average number of hours read per student. Then a pledger has to say whether they are pledging a single amount per winner or an amount per unit of activity delivered by the winner. Most a-thons, you're pledging per unit of activity. But one could say here we're pledging $500 for the first class to reach an average of 20 hours read per student, and that's it. It's just one time of $500 for the first class. But somebody else might be offering $5 for each hour read by the first class to achieve an average of 20 hours read per student. Finally, a pledger has to select which cause the pledged amount will go to, assuming that whoever set up the campaign offered choices. They might have just stipulated there's only one destination for the funds, and that would be it. Walkthrough is going to be about setting up a donation pledge challenge, but before that happens, somebody will have had to have set up the campaign itself. A campaign defines the limits within which a pledge donor can declare a pledge challenge. The campaign typically includes the following: a campaign name and a motivational description of the campaign, what's its purpose, and how the funds would be used, and so forth. It also includes a list of approved donation types per winner or per unit of activity that the person making the pledge can select from. It includes then the master domain that defines the outer limits of the entire campaign. Could be the whole world, or somebody might say, hey, this campaign is for within a given state or within a country, and the pledge person can pick any sub element within that master domain. So if the domain is country, somebody might make a pledge just for a county or only for a single school or school district. It also includes a hierarchy of authorized domains within the master domain, so that these are the actual domain they can select for their challenge, or the competitor level that they can choose for their challenge. Also includes a list of authorized competitor types, so that they can select to say, okay, the competitor type is a school, or it's a county, or it's a city. It also includes the unit of activity of the campaign: hours read, miles walked, etc. And a list of approved pledge types. These are related challenge types: the first average within a domain, the top average within a domain, etc. And finally, it includes a list of approved causes or partner organizations that the person defining the pledge can select from. Let's look now at what's involved to set up a pledge challenge. First, you have to specify what campaign the pledge challenge belongs to. Then the domain within the pledge challenge, the domain that applies, the limits of the challenge, if you would. So even though the campaign might include an entire state, a pledge challenge might just pertain to a particular school district or with a particular county. Then the competitor type could be the school or whatever, a school or a school district, but it has to be a sub-element under whatever the domain is for that pledge challenge. Then the pledge type, is it based on the first average within the domain or the top average within the domain, etc. The number of winners, the pledge dollar amount, the pledge donation type, is it per winner or per unit of activity that the winner delivers, and then the selected cause or partner organization. There are a number of things that are not included in this prototype. First is the setup of the domain schools and the entry interface to be able to enter top-down domains: country, states, counties, cities, etc. The idea is that teachers would register their class, and they would go to the level in which their class is, i.e. the school. That school might not be in the system, so then they would try to enter the school. So they would find the school district that school pertains to. Perhaps the school district's not there, then they would go up and look for the county. Perhaps that's not there, they'd go up and look for the state. And they would start filling in whatever missing hierarchical levels are there. If it's a level above whatever their level is, i.e. class, then this would be set up there pending confirmation by an additional user. Also missing is the process for capturing the actual hours read or other units of activities achieved per competitor level. And also missing is a process for follow-up after the campaign to calculate who won and also who owes what relative to pledges made, and eventually a mechanism to enable collection of the pledge donors. Finally, also missing is a reporting mechanism to report the dollar amounts pledged per domain or competitor level, the units of activity roll-ups, and the pledge donation collection status, so that one could at any time get a report or have a running status of a form of leaderboard in each of these categories. End of this introduction, the next video will include an actual walkthrough of the process of setting up a donation pledge challenge.